Hello there, and how wonderful to be here. This is your favorite program, Through It All. We come here, share about our lives, how we've gotten where we are today. Life is a journey. It is really interesting to hear, stories, testimonies of different people, what they have been through, maybe challenges, maybe moments of joy, moments of sadness, all the things that people actually go through in life. And you may be going through some situation, some challenge, some good time, and maybe you're wondering, why am I going through this? Well, I want to assure you, you're not alone. There are many other people probably went through the same thing you're going through right now, and they conquered. And that's why we bring different people to share their lives and their testimonies. And today I'm so honored and privileged to have dear friends, if I may call them dear friends of many years, a family, a couple that I've known for quite some time now. And I thought, well, we can just chat, talk, easy talk, and just to hear who they are. And I'll ask them to introduce themselves, tell us who they are. Let's start from, they say ladies first in Kenya, but men before. So we start with the gentleman.
Okay. Uh, my name is Mark, and we live here in East Flat Rock, North Carolina, and we've been happy to host Peter and Faith for at least a third trip here, as they have visited us here in the United States a number of times, and we're happy to have them here, along with a couple of their daughters in this trip and a previous trip.
Thank you, Mark. It's been a joy to spend a few days with you. And all right, next.
I'm Dotty, Mark's wife, and I've known Peter and Faith a little bit longer. I first met them when I went to Happy Life in 2012.
Wow, it's been that long. Just looked like it's the other day. So, how was that your first trip to Africa when you came to Happy Life in 2012?
It was.
Hmm.
I came there with my daughter Lauren, who had just graduated from college.
Oh,
And
so how was it like traveling to Africa for the first time? Like, is it, what did you expect? Were you nervous? Or you feeling like,
I wasn't very nervous. I had met Jim and Sharon at my church that I was attending, and we were going to be meeting them when we got to Nairobi. So I knew that someone would be there to take care of us.
yeah,
The journey was very long. We had a 10-hour layover in Egypt.
10 hour? Oh,
And my daughter got very sick
huh.
as we were in the airport for that 10 hours. I think she got a little bug from, she had a salad and, yeah, but we
You
got
made
to
it.
Nairobi and we were taken care of and
Huh.
had a wonderful time and fell in love with Happy Life and your mission there.
Thank you. So, what was your first like? I'm imagining somebody who has never been to Africa, Kenya, now coming and seeing all the children at Happy Life. What was your first like reaction? How did that make you feel? Because in America, I don't think you have those kind of many children abandoned, hundreds of children together. What was your reaction?
Well, it really touched my heart that I wanted to be involved and to help any way I could.
Wow, wow. Yes, Mark, tell us a little bit about your story. Where were you born and grow up and all that?
Well, I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, but I'll leave that behind. Grew up in Southern California.
Okay.
I have one sister, and we were raised in a home that was not a godly home, but it wasn't what one you might call an evil or wicked home either. It was probably pretty typical for people in America and perhaps all over the world. But we didn't. We went to church, but only because we were told to go to church.
Yeah.
It wasn't out of a desire to go. And so as soon as we could, my sister and I talked my parents out of making us go to church.
Okay.
My dad was happy with that because he didn't have to take us there anymore.
Oh.
And so I walked away from the church that we were going to in probably junior high school, something like that.
Wow.
And then never really thought much about it. I did have a childhood friend who had been converted at probably sometime in high school.
Okay.
We had been really close friends, but then he got to be very different to me, and I heard a lot about Christ from him, but
Wow.
I didn't really pay any attention to it, and I was sort of a little bit repelled by it.
Yeah.
It was a very modest, I'll say, rebellion.
Oh.
We still kind of were friends, but we didn't hang out together anymore. We gave him the nickname of Father Cummings because that's as derogatory as we could get without being really mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although he was not Catholic, he became born again Christian.
Oh.
But anyway, he prayed for me. He
Huh.
told me later he prayed for me often.
Oh.
So just to fast forward a number of years, is I went away to college and had some friends, and some of them were Christians, but I still wasn't really affected. I could easily just hang around with everybody who was there at school, and I gave no thought to my standing in life or what happens to me after death.
Yeah.
But then I met a young lady who I got to like quite a bit. We eventually became married, but before that happened, she was a born again Christian,
Oh.
and she wanted me to be a born again Christian, but she couldn't make that happen, of course.
That's true.
But we went to church, and over the course of a number of months, the Lord worked in my life
Okay.
and called me to Him finally and assuredly.
Wow.
And so I started to begin my life, to give my life to Christ at that time, although I didn't know what it meant.
How old are you then?
I was just out of college. I was early 20s.
Okay.
And I didn't know what it was like to really live for Christ. This is in Southern California, which was perhaps not the home, but certainly a stronghold of what we called easy believism,
Yeah.
we do now at least, where you make a decision for Christ, but you don't necessarily live for Him. So there's a lot of people who sadly see Christ as their Savior, but not as their Lord.
Oh.
And I was probably in that camp at the beginning, but He kept working on me.
Wow.
And I was growing in Christ, and beginning to have a better understanding of what it was like to live as a Christian.
Wow.
So fast forward a little bit, actually 20 some years, we moved to New Jersey.
So eventually you got married to this beautiful lady.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Married my first wife, Beverly, and we had a son a number of years later. We moved to New Jersey because of a job change.
Yeah.
And then soon after our son was born, Beverly became very sick, and it turned out that she had congestive heart failure.
Oh.
And at that time, right after our son was born, they said this could get worse, it could get better, or it could stay the same.
Yeah.
And as it turned out, it did all of those things.
Wow.
During these periods. She was on the heart transplant list for a period of time, but then she got better, and so we were happy that she was taken off the list.
Yeah.
So she didn't have a lot of energy, but she did enough to homeschool our son all the way through high school.
Wow.
And but anyhow, right after he graduated from high school, we sent him away to college. The Lord called her home.
Wow.
And it turned out that was her time. So she's in a better place.
She is. She is.
I'm very thankful that she knows the Lord and she's with Him now.
Very important. very, very important. Well, we'll come back to you and see how did you go through that, and today you're standing, have a family, and you're still serving the Lord. So, Dotty, tell us a bit of your story, where you grew up, and all that.
We have a saying here in the United States to describe a child of a military man. And that you say the branch of the military and then brat. So I was an Army brat.
Oh,
Then you add on to that, you can't get much worse, except for I was also a preacher's kid, which also has a negative connotation here in the U.S.
No
So
offense
you-
intended.
okay.
I don't know why these two things, but
Yeah, yeah.
my father was a chaplain in the Army for 20 years,
Oh,
and he was a Southern Baptist
Mhm.
trained
Yeah.
chaplain,
okay.
and gave a good call at the end of his sermons, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I accepted Christ many times after his good sermons and wanted to be a good Christian.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I was in high school that I started to understand what it meant to follow Christ.
Okay.
And I got very involved in the youth at my church. When I went to college, I was part of Campus Crusade for Christ
Oh,
and would always look for a church, whatever position in life I was.
that's true.
Married a man who professed Christ as his Savior.
Yeah. Mhm.
We were married for 26 years.
Oh, wow. Quite some time. Wow. You had children.
We had 4 children.
Hmm.
And then my husband decided to leave.
Okay.
He left me when 3 of the kids were still at home.
Hmm.
He had been unfaithful.
Hmm.
We were separated for several years.
Wow.
And then it became clear that he was not going to change his ways,
Okay.
and we were divorced.
Okay. After 26 years.
Yes.
A long time. Wow. How did you navigate through that journey? I mean, that's quite a pain, a discourse in life, discouragement after built a family for 26 years. And there are many people who are in that kind of a situation today, and they are wondering, will I ever come back? Will I ever have a family? Will I ever stand again? How did you navigate? What helped you through that journey?
Well, I was telling Peter and Faith the other day that in that situation, you feel like you've been thrown in the trash.
That's true.
You feel like you've been thrown away, discarded,
That's true.
unwanted, unloved.
Hmm.
It was very difficult.
Wow.
I couldn't understand how this would be his will for a family to be destroyed.
Hmm.
It took me a long time. When I would go to church and we would sing praises, I would be crying the whole
That's true.
time.
It's pain, yeah. Mm.
I thought I lost my dream.
That's true.
My dream of a family and husband and grandchildren, and it was difficult.
I see that.
And
That's
it
true.
was really God brought me through it. It took me a long time. There was a pastor in Delaware that the thing he said a lot was, God is sovereign and you can trust him.
Amen.
And it took me a while to get back to that point
Yeah.
of trusting him.
Hmm.
Uh,
Did you have a people surrounding you, family or friends?
I did. I
Okay.
had some support, some very good Christian friends that walked with me.
Okay.
And the church was very supportive of me
Oh.
through that time.
Okay. Okay. That's good to hear. Yeah. So, and you came through it, and we'll come back to hear the story how you met Mark. Now, Mark, you coming back to you. Your wife, your dear wife is gone, and like you said, it's always consoling to know somebody died in the Lord, because eventually everybody would die. But it's one thing to die when you know the Lord, and one thing to die when you don't know the Lord. So how did you navigate through that I would imagine very painful moment of life, losing a dear wife. You have a son you're raising. You've been married, and going through the sickness. How was that?
Um, it was because her death, although it was sudden, we were in a. It's not like she had her immediate past health wasn't any better or worse than it had been for some time, so we weren't really expecting anything.
Yeah.
But it was sudden, but it wasn't unexpected.
Okay.
And I knew that she was ready to come home.
Oh,
She was looking forward to it,
wow.
and so that's what I had in my mind all the time. Is that while
Yeah.
we missed her greatly,
Yeah.
she was in a much better place.
So you kind of accepted it that this is the reality of life. This is.
Yeah, I didn't have any issues with denial.
Yeah.
I wasn't mad at God at all.
Okay.
I had been taught well, and after we moved into Jersey, we went to a really solid church.
Okay.
Got lots of good biblical teaching.
Okay.
And counsel and wonderful friends, and so we learned a lot. We learned a lot about God and his compassion and his sovereignty.
Yeah.
And the plan that he has for all of us.
Yeah.
And it all it was really painful, but all kind of fit together, if you will. There wasn't anything that hit me and said, wow, that's not part of the plan. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Why did you do that? None of that. But,
Yeah.
it was difficult. I was lonely. My son was away at school.
I know.
So he was lonely. So
Yeah.
it was difficult.
How old was your son then?
He just turned 19.
Oh, so he's a young man.
Yep.
He's a young man. So, well, I can imagine that's why we have this kind of sharing, because life has many challenges. We all have gone through difficult, painful moments, and there's somebody right now going through probably the same. They have lost a loved one. They are through those emotions of pain, discouragement. Some even turn suicidal and all that. What would you tell somebody who is in that kind of a situation and wondering what to do? Mark, because you came through it and here you are, you have a family. Before even we come to hear how you met each other, what would you tell them? I mean, what encouragement would you bring to somebody who is there right now or lost a loved one a year ago?
Well, I would say don't try to deny that there's pain and there's loss, and there's going to be a lot of difficulty. All circumstances are different, of course. Some are very, very tragic and very difficult. I can imagine people have lost maybe an entire family and not just a spouse.
That's true.
So I don't want to minimize any of that. But I drew great consolation and comfort from knowing that God had a plan for her all along and for me.
That's true.
And that was part of it.
That's true.
And there's nothing that happened that wasn't outside of God's foreordaining. And while it was difficult to deal with, that's what kind of got me through it, if you will, from day to day. So the hours of the day were difficult. But looking back at the big picture was helped make it doable.
And I think that's important. Having that, like you're saying, understanding. And I find I'm hearing you say you had God, you have the Word of God, you have friends, you have family who are helping you, who are supporting you, and understanding the journey of life, that death is a reality. People die. We may not understand why some will die young, others at 100 years, others at 2 years, 50 years, and all that, but accepting it rather than living in denial. I have met people who have been hurt and destroyed because of bereavement, and they are not able to overcome it until they die. So And I hear what you're saying, and I think it's important for people to learn and to know that death is a reality. It is, ordained that one day everybody will die. But again, death is not final. I think that's also the other good reality that there's life after death. And eventually, for believers, we'll be able to see our loved ones on the other side of the river. So, all right, coming back to Dotty, what would you tell people that are, or somebody, it could be 1 or 10 or 100, or somebody just going through similar circumstances to what you went through, the pain of, you have a family for 26 years, divorce and all that, and now they are wondering, is this all there is to life? Should I continue? Will I ever come back? What would you encourage them?
That God does have a plan. That it may not be the dream you envisioned.
Yeah.
It may be a life different than you were headed on. That He can bring good from tragic circumstances, from the pain and the loss.
I like that.
It's a different dream. He gives you a new dream that He'll bring about, and that you can trust that it's for your good.
Wow. I like what you say. Something good can come out of the most ugly, situation. The pain, the, divorce, death. I mean, all the horrific things that happen to people. There's still something good. And I'm reminded the words of Apostle Paul, in all things God work together for good to them that love the Lord. So I think having God as your anchor and your hope is very, very crucial, because when you go through these kind of things and you don't have God to rely on and to trust in, it can be very dangerous. So now, how did you people meet? Because you have gone through this pain, bereavement, divorce, and all that, and now you're here together and you look like you're a happy couple. I mean, be right or wrong, but but Mark, how did you meet?
I was with my grandmother on what became her deathbed. She was 100 years old. She was in a hospital, and while she would be sleeping, her TV had to be on for some reason, and there were ads being run on the television, and one of them was for a website for singles called Christian Mingle.
Okay.
So it was a dating website for people who call themselves Christians.
Yeah.
And Beverly had died the previous year, and so that kind of got my attention. And so at some point, I don't remember how long ago, I said, "Well, let me look at that."
Okay.
So I was clearly.
Why were you looking at it? You are looking for a wife, or just checking? Were you just checking, or you are looking for?
I didn't want to. I didn't want to have somebody just to date.
That's true.
I didn't want to date somebody without thinking that I could marry them.
That's true.
So So yeah, I'd have to admit I was looking for a wife, but that was not the immediate thought. So why would anybody ever respond to me was the immediate thought.
I know.
So so I went on that and looked around a little bit, and then finally posted something.
Okay.
And that's when I ran into Dotty's profile.
Oh.
Or vice versa. I'm not sure which happened first. I don't remember now.
Yeah, you sent me
I initiated. Oh, good.
a hi or a wink or a
Yeah, some kind of notification that, hey, I noticed you.
Okay. Okay. So something good happening through media.
That was yeah. So there was some good that came out of my grandmother being in that deathbed.
So she was 100 years old?
Yeah.
Wow. Live long.
So that was around Christmas of 2011.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and I had been on dating.
Tell us your story. I mean,
I had been on, that was my third dating site.
Okay.
I had started on eHarmony.
Okay.
And funny enough, I was matched with my ex-husband.
Hmm.
I'm in Harmony.
Interesting.
Yes, that was interesting.
Okay.
I don't think his profile included that he'd been unfaithful serially.
All right.
I
Yeah.
don't know, but
Hmm.
and then I tried one called Christian Cafe,
Oh.
and then was Christian Mingle. And I had met and gone out on dates with several men. In fact, the first guy I dated for a little while, I'd actually known in college. He was part of Campus Crusade, so that was funny that we took a date or two before we realized.
Yeah.
Did you have an afro, real curly afro? I had to ask him. He's like, yeah. I was like, now I remember who you are.
Oh.
But I didn't remember his name because
Yeah.
I'd only been introduced to him once.
Yeah.
But I was getting tired of it takes a lot of time on these dating sites, and I needed a break, and I was about ready when it was going to run out, my subscription. I was just not going to renew for a little while. And
Okay.
I got the smile from Mark, and I looked at his profile page, and I was like, well, this guy, he's a widower. He knows how to hold a marriage together for 29 years.
Wow.
This guy might be a guy to go on a date with, to get to know.
Yeah.
You know, first you communicate by email for a while before you actually set up a date. And
I was smart enough to not put my picture up. I could maybe attract a couple people before.
Oh, before the right people. Okay. So you didn't have your picture there initially?
Not yet.
Okay.
And usually I wouldn't pay attention. If they didn't put their picture up, I was like a little weary of why.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But
did you have your picture on there yourself? Okay.
And you know, the men I had met had all been nice, but
they're not the right ones.
They were not the right ones.
Yeah.
And, I had put on there that I wanted them to be within a mile or two, because one person I had dated, an hour or two drive.
Okay.
One of the person I had, communicated with was in Syracuse, New York, which was many hours away. And I was like, this.
Yeah.
He was nice, but this isn't going to go anywhere.
Yeah. Wow.
So Mark was right outside of the 2-hour mark, but I decided it was worth it.
She was getting a little desperate. I'd already eliminated everybody within the hour. And,
I know.
It became a little bit more.
So I have to lower the bar a little bit.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
And it's hard when you were 50 years old to meet a Christian man who.
I agree with you.
Near you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Outside of church.
Yeah, and I went to a small church, and there weren't any super large churches near me.
Yeah.
So, I had a friend say, "Why don't you we met in a bar?" I'm like, I don't think so.
No, you don't want to do that.
I've been someone that went to bars.
Yeah.
I don't think so. So, it was God's timing. And,
Yeah.
We met and we emailed for a while, and then.
How long did you date before you got married?
We started dating in February, right?
That was the first time we met in person.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I asked her to marry me in October.
Okay.
And we got married in December.
Wow. Same year.
Yes, same year. Yeah.
You are ready.
And some people were like, well, actually, one of my children was like, really? I'm like, well, we don't have to decide whose career is more important. We don't have to decide how many children we're going to have. We don't have to decide.
Yeah.
A lot of things that young people have to decide before they get married.
That's true.
We both had a lot of life experience behind us.
That's true.
And,
you were ready for marriage. I mean, you were already married before, so time is already ripe. So you don't have to wait for another 2-3 years trying to figure out so many things, like you're saying, about, finances, children, and all that. So.
And unlike when you get married in your early 20s, is when you get married in your 50s, you're pretty well baked.
That's true.
You know how you're going to turn out. And
so
does everybody else.
You
It's not like you're going to go this way. There's an old story about men and women get married at young ages, and the man never wants the woman to change. Don't look differently. Don't do anything differently. Do all those things you did before we got married, and the woman says, "I'm going to see how I can change this man to someone who's just perfect. A great guy, but I want to be perfect."
Yeah.
But when you know what you're getting.
You know it. You're ready. That's true.
They're not going to change.
Yeah.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Personality.
Yeah.
A lot of habits. They're not going to all of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
like different weather or whatever the case might be. So
That's true.
So that makes it easier. So that's what we tell people when they say, "Why wasn't that?"
Yeah.
Kind of sudden.
I like how you put it. You're well baked. Talking of baking, I remember was it a brownie we had the other day? We still have some. It was really good, and I think you love to bake. What is your favorite cake or pastry? I don't know.
Oh, we should tell the story. Story. On the first date.
On the first date.
Okay.
Yes, that's
How
our
she
first
reeled
date.
me in.
So in our communications with each other, I found out his favorite dessert was apple pie.
Apple pie. Oh.
So on our first date, I baked him an apple pie.
Whoa.
And I brought it on the date.
You won his heart.
and I baked it in a glass pie plate, and I gave him the leftovers. We each had one piece. We went to a mall that had some tables, and we had this apple pie because we met in between our homes.
Yeah.
And I figured he'd have to have a second date because he had to give me back my pie plate.
Was that the trick?
It was.
I must see you again soon.
That's right.
A pretty obvious thing to do is to return the pie plate. I thought it was just a test to see if I would clean it.
Did you clean it? I guess you did.
I wanted it filled again.
Wow. That's interesting how you met, and so how bringing in the children, and now you have a son. You have how many? 4. How did it? Well, I believe they were all grown. Was that ever a challenge, between the two of you, between the two families?
They're all sort of headed off in their own lives, and they were when we got married. Daniel was still in high school, and the rest were all older.
Okay.
And were about to graduate from college or had just done so. So they were kind of heading their own directions, and so it wasn't like we, other than Daniel for a year or two, we didn't live with any of them.
Was there a need of involving them, like this is the person you're gonna be getting married to, or they heard the stories much later?
Well, they met Mark.
Okay.
Well, Daniel, of course, met you earliest, but we waited until we were, certain we were going forward to introduce us to each other's kids.
Okay.
And it really wasn't an issue. Our children haven't had that many times to be in the same place.
Okay.
Just because of life circumstances with Skylar, Mark's son, living out in Houston, and my kids mostly being in the Northeast and Delaware. They haven't had that many interactions.
Yeah.
We laugh because my children played a lot of sports and were very into athletics, and Skylar was very studious, and he had been in debate club in high school, and he had was into photography and very, very creative.
Okay.
And my children, Skylar at that point said he wanted to be a researcher for a think tank when he graduated. And I said, my kids didn't know what a think tank was.
No.
So, but they enjoy time together. They just don't get much of it.
Okay. That's good. Beautiful. And well, now you're here, you're married. Mark, remind us, what did you do as, for career, your business, work?
I was in insurance underwriting.
Okay.
So helping make decisions on which risks to take for casualty insurance for a large company in the United States.
Okay. How long did you do that?
I worked for one company 2 years right out of school, and then my second company for 33 years.
Whoa, you're very consistent, yeah?
Yes, and then I thought 35 years of insurance underwriting was enough, or less than sufficiently that we could both retire, and so we retired at the same time.
Okay.
And, pardon me, a couple of weeks of each other, actually. Your school gig was over, and then at that point we could decide what we wanted to do.
Oh, Dotty, what did you do?
I was a physical therapist.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
that you can specialize into different areas of physical therapy, and I did a little bit of everything.
Okay.
But my last job was in a school system with
Oh,
children with multiple handicaps.
okay. How is the journey? I'm not retired yet. How is the journey of retirement? I mean, there are people, I've met people who are afraid of retirement. They wonder, will I be doing with all this time? I've been working from 8 to 5 and all that. I have a job. Will I have enough income? How would you address that? Is it a beautiful thing or is it a pain
Well,
to retire?
it's different for everybody, and a lot of people are sort of forced into retirement
Okay.
before they want to be.
Oh,
And so that's a different situation. They may not be prepared
yeah,
financially, emotionally, or in any way.
yeah.
We were blessed to not have that. We could decide to not. So I could have kept working for a number of years. Excuse me. But we kind of wanted to start a new life together, and we wanted to move out of where we had both been with our former spouses.
Yeah.
And so, to help facilitate that, it would be easier to do that without being tied down to a job.
Yeah.
Even today, now it was 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 10
Mhm.
years ago. It would be easier today because so many people work from home, but that would have been a little difficult for us in our roles at that time.
So how was that like change? Like coming from a regular job, now you're waking up in the morning, don't have to go to office. How did that make you feel? Like, did you struggle with that? Did you find yourself wishing, I wish I could be going to the office? Or
Not for a second.
you are ready?
I mean, I miss some of the people because I had worked with a lot of the same people for many, many years. And so I miss some of that. But no, I was perfectly fine with not having to go to the office or worry about what was happening in the news, what impact that would have on
Yeah, your business
my
and
department and all of that.
yeah.
We have kept busy.
Okay. Tell us more. What do you do? What have you done during your time of retirement for the last 10 years?
One thing that we had both done a lot of prior to retiring was travel.
Okay.
And on my side, we had been to 49 states.
Oh, wow.
Of the 50.
Hmm.
If you're not from the United States, there's 50 states.
Which one have you not visited?
Hawaii.
Hawaii. Is
Yeah.
it in your bucket list?
He won't fly there.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can drive.
I'm sure it's a lovely place, but
Okay.
so
All right.
we travel
So
a lot.
traveling, yeah.
Travel a lot, and some hobbies, but nothing that really took a huge amount of time. I enjoyed playing golf, but that was not what I retired for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's nice to have the time. When we moved here, one of the things that we wanted is we wanted to make sure that we could find a good church,
Okay.
and we did. We were blessed to find Reformation Presbyterian Church here in Hendersonville.
Yeah.
And we became pretty involved, which is not that difficult to do because there's always something to do in a growing, vibrant church.
Yeah.
And so we've had a number of roles. We've both been on the missions committee. You still are.
Okay.
I was the chairman of the safety and security committee for a number of years, and I was also a deacon for 2 terms.
Okay.
So far, I've been a deacon at our church in New Jersey as well for a long time. So
Wow, serving in the church, and serving the Lord.
And then we also volunteer at a food pantry 2 days a week.
Tell us more. What is food pantry? Some people have no idea what is food pantry.
Well, it's the woman that started it saw a need that there are people here in Hendersonville that did not have enough food.
Oh.
So she started it probably
2000.
I was going to say 12, but 14 years ago.
Okay.
And 24 years ago. I was thinking when I went to Kenya, 2012, that's 24 years ago.
Okay.
And how many boxes of food do we give out in a
Thousands.
Wow.
There's probably about 200 family units that get food
Wow.
each month.
Wow.
So we go and we pack the boxes and we pick up food from the grocery stores and buy it, and
Hmm.
then
You buy the food or people donate the food?
both.
Okay. Okay.
We
Who are these families? Are they like jobless or people sick who are sick or
It's many of them are elderly,
okay.
and so they have low fixed incomes.
Mm-hmm.
Many of them are just out of jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Many of them are homeless.
Oh,
So
okay.
we will have somebody come in and say, well, I'm homeless. I'm living in my car, so don't give me anything that has to be refrigerated.
Oh, wow.
So
Hmm.
some people walk to us,
Hmm.
and so I can't take a lot because I'm dragging it with a basket behind me to the
Yeah.
bus.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's a little
It's
bit
good
of
to help people. It's definitely good to help people. So traveling, golfing. Do you golf yourself?
um, I I took some lessons, and I was starting to learn how to golf.
Mm-hmm.
But we had a whole bunch of grandchildren born that year, and
Yeah.
then I hurt my shoulder, and so
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
haven't played a lot of golf.
Well,
We play pickleball, as we've
okay.
told you. That's
Yeah.
something we do together.
Pickleball. Yeah. Never too late to come back.
That's right. That's right.
So golfing and pickleball and grandchildren, that keeps you busy.
we're forgetting something.
Food pantry.
Yes, we do.
There's something else we started to do.
What's that?
Hmm.
Huh.
I
Well,
don't know.
because it looks like you have a heart for, you have been in the missions committee and you have a heart for the needy, food pantry and all that. Tell us your involvement with the Happy Life mission.
Go ahead.
Well,
You
just
start.
this last September, Jim and Sharon Powell
Mhm.
asked to meet us for dinner in Dover, Delaware. We
Yeah.
were staying near the beach in Delaware, and we were like, huh, that's funny. They want to drive an hour to meet us in Dover. And so we did, and
Yeah.
they said they had been looking for someone to take over some of the administrative duties of Happy Life
Yeah.
here in the U.S.
Mhm.
And we prayed about it, thought about it, and
Hmm.
Mark had to be willing to get on a plane, which he'd always said he would never do,
I know.
to fly to Kenya, and he's going to do it.
Wow.
And so
Congratulations.
we decided that we would see what we could do to help.
Hmm. Thank you so much. That's for me very, very important that you can actually come on board and help, be of help in the Happy Life mission. And when you look at outside of you being the incoming directors of Happy Life in the U.S., when you look at the entire ministry of Happy Life, what comes to your mind? What do you think about this ministry when you have interacted with it even for the last couple of years?
I'm amazed at how much God is doing through Happy Life.
Hmm.
Every time I've visited, I've been there 4 times now.
Yeah.
It's more. There's more that's being done,
Hmm.
and it's hard to believe that it can grow that fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so different each time.
The Lord has been good. The Lord and Mark, we look forward to having come into Kenya and
Thank you.
spend time with our people. What do you think of Kenyan people for Mark? You have been there 4 times. What would you
advice
tell?
I would give
Yeah,
him?
somebody
Oh,
who
they're
has
very
never been there.
friendly, very friendly and very helpful. And
Uh-huh.
um,
Okay.
yes.
Should we let them stay in our home?
Maybe not.
It's too late. We already have.
Maybe not. Well, I mean, listening to you people, you've come a long way and you still have a long way to go. God blessing you with years to come. Looking forward before you wind up, what do you see in front of you? Where are there some things you still feel God helping me or helping us? We want to do this, we want to achieve this to make us fulfilled in life. I don't know what you think.
I guess what I would say is I just want to be found useful in His kingdom.
Wow.
Whatever it is that He has in mind
Mhm.
for me, and
Yeah.
I hope that I see that
Yeah.
and accept it,
Mhm.
and don't try to do something that I shouldn't be, or
Yeah.
try to sidestep what He has for me.
Mhm.
So that is one of the things in our
Mm-hmm.
in our minds when we're thinking about
Yeah.
happy life is this certainly seems like this is what God wants us to do.
Yeah.
It came to us at a good time. I had just rolled off the diaconate,
Okay.
and so I had some time.
Okay.
And there was clearly a need, as we saw Sharon and Jim being ready
Mm-hmm.
and anxious to
Yeah.
turn the reins over to somebody.
Yeah.
And said, well, this will be life changing,
Mm-hmm.
and it will be. It has been, and it will be. So I just
Yeah.
hope that we will do what the Lord wants us to do.
Amen. He will help you by His
Mhm.
grace. Dotty, anything you wanna looking ahead that you think will be very profound?
Well, I think God is making me do and try new things and learn new things
New things, yeah.
and trust Him to get me to the point that I'm not stressed out about the new things and
Yeah.
being comfortable doing them. So
Yeah.
God's got it in His hands. He's got control of it. So
Wow, wonderful. This is great, and I've really enjoyed your testimonies and your sharing. But before you close, maybe, and before you give your closing remarks, how do you, what keeps you going as a couple? Because now retired, you spend a lot of time together and all that, and well, there are people who can do that. So, what keeps you going? What is that glue?
Well, we have a common purpose,
Hmm.
I think, in broadly speaking, for our lives and our individually. And while we have our own interests that we do, I go out and play golf and she doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
We try to play pickleball together. We play a card game over at lunch
Mm-hmm.
together.
Okay.
So we do a lot of things together, but we also do some things that are separate. But overarching is our priorities are the same.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
to serve the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
It's to be in church worshiping Him when the doors are open, and to serve Him as we can.
Wow. Anything you want to add to that?
I agree with everything you said.
See, I told you.
That makes it easy for you. Wow, how beautiful. Maybe you can look at the camera there, starting with Dotty here. Tell us, I mean, just your closing remark for somebody listening to us today and going through some stuff. Just your closing word.
Don't despair. God is in control, and He will bring you through your trials, and He'll be there with you. It doesn't mean it'll turn out the way that you want it to,
Mm-hmm.
but God can use anything for the good in your life.
Mm-hmm. Amen. I like that. God can use anything for the good in your life. That is so profound. Mark.
I'd say trust in the Lord, put your faith in Him, and when there's tragedy, don't be surprised when there's good that follows. And you may or may not ever see that or know what it is, but He will use that.
Wow. You've had it. And thank you so much for joining us, listening to Mark and Dotty and their testimony. Powerful testimony, how the Lord has been gracious to them, bringing them this far. What a joy to hear what the Lord is doing in the lives of these people across the globe. And be encouraged, be strong. No matter what you're going through, remember, it's not over until you win, and you will come out victorious. So the Lord bless you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Until next time, this is Through It All. God bless you. God keep you and strengthen you and keep going. You will win. Thank you. Blessing.